I shouldn't be enjoying Season 3 of Star Trek Picard more than The Mandalorian. But guess what? I am. I mean, at least this particular episode had some sort of plot to it. But for me, it's too little, too late. This is Vader Reviews. We are honored that you would join us as I discuss the latest insult or chapter in The Mandalorian, The Spies. Our story begins with Bo-Katan and her merry band of bucketheads as they finally set out to retake Mandalore. Once they arrive, they decide to send a scouting party to the surface to make sure the planet is safe for the younglings, so naturally they take Baby Yoda with them. They make their way through the Mines of Mandalore, talking about what it was like in the good old days when the great forges were lit, and I couldn't help but feel like any minute Thorin and his dwarves were gonna spring out of the holes in the ground and start singing about the Lonely Mountain. Our helmeted heroes run into some trouble because it turns out Moff Gideon has a secret base, and he's been constructing Beskar armor for his troops. Also, they fly now. A battle ensues, and admittedly some of it looks pretty wizard, but Din is captured once again this season, while Baby Yoda forgets he can use the Force to help him. Paz Vizsla goes out in a blaze of glory, covering the other Mandalorians' escape as they bravely run away, and that's pretty much it. So let's talk about it. Now, learning about Moff Gideon's hidden secret base was undeniably pretty wizard. The only problem is, this season has meandered pointlessly from one story to the next so much. Now, we only have one episode left to explore this interesting plot development. To me, this season would have been much better if early on, when Din is redeemed in the waters of Mandalore, he stumbled onto Moff Gideon's army, and when he returned to his covert, he tells his people what the Empire is doing. Bo-Katan could rise and inspire the Mandalorians to follow her, to retake Mandalore and drive Gideon out of their homeland once and for all. This would have given the season focus a much-needed sense of urgency and genuine stakes. Another problem I've had with this season that carries over into this particular episode is that Din has kind of taken a back seat in his own show. Even his relationship with Grogu has been pushed to the sidelines to a degree. Normally Din's focus is to protect Grogu, his adopted son. But in this episode, as soon as the shooting starts, he turns to the little green munchkin, who doesn't have a weapon I might add, and says, "You gotta keep up, kid," and runs off into the fray, leaving little Grogu completely defenseless in the middle of a shootout. And while we're on the subject of Baby Yoda, don't get me started on his little IG-11 Gundam pilot thing, where they have him driving around the dead robot like Krang, pushing his little yes and no button over and over again. There are rumors they might be phasing Din out of this series, and they might even kill him off in this next episode. And if they have little Grogu pushing the no button over and over again when he sees Din is dead, I'm gonna laugh at this show. I wouldn't put it past them. Overall, there were some cool visuals and some cool fight scenes, and Moff Gideon's black Mandalorian armor looked pretty wizard. But I must confess, even during the most emotional moments of the episode, I didn't feel anything while I was watching it. Oftentimes, I was even just kind of waiting for it to be over, because this season has felt so disjointed and unfocused. Nothing had any impact for me. Rather than focusing on Din Djarin and Grogu and their bond that they share, this entire season just feels like setup for Dave Filoni's upcoming Ahsoka series, and massive world building to try to retroactively salvage the failed storytelling of the sequel trilogy. Now, unlike some, I never thought for a minute that the sequels were going to be erased by this series. It was clear from season 1, that's where everything was leading. I may not like it, but I can accept it. My problem is that they focused so much on building to the sequels, Din and Grogu's story has fallen to the wayside. Now, I know I've been Darth Vader through this whole video, and I don't mean to disparage anyone if they have enjoyed this season. But for me, we only have one episode left, and I don't know if that's enough to fix things. As much as I hate to say it, I think The Mandalorian may have lost its way. Before we go, this week's video is brought to you by the generosity of I'm Just Happy to Be a Stormtrooper, Adam Jordan. The Empire thanks you for your service, my friend. This is Vader Reviews. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and always remember, you don't know the power of the dark side.